King Albert of the Belgians put in monuments in particular places that were very important to Belgium, and they are called Albertinas. This is an Albertina, and he put it here because of the poem that was written on this very spot. Colonel McRae came out and sat at this spot and was told that his pal had just been killed. He burst into tears, he sees the poppies, and he writes the poem here. Now on this you have the flag of Flanders, and normally on an Albertina you have the crown. But King Albert said, no, the poppy is more important than my crown. So this is the only Albertina with a poppy on it, and it marks the spot where the poem was written. This is the last of the original advanced dressing stations left in the Ypres salient, where Colonel McRae laboured to try and look after the soldiers. We are told that at the height of the battle there were so many young men coming in that they were being rolled over the top of the dressing station and then carried in for treatment. This room here was the theatre. The young men were taken in there, and in the middle of the room there were ordinary wooden tables. These were the operating tables. And we're told the conditions were so bad that when the boys were brought in, and sometimes obviously it was bullet wounds and shrapnel wounds they had, so the blood was flowing down the legs of the table onto the floor, and it was mixing with the mud. And the doctors were standing in the same position so long, operating, that they actually got glued to the floor with the mixture of the mud and blood. So what they had to do was to put in a chicken wire mesh to allow the blood and guts to drain away a little bit so they could walk. That's what the conditions were like. There's no antibiotics, and therefore the soldiers who go in, apart from suffering terrible wounds, are also infected, and many of them die from the infections as well as the wounds. So the conditions in the hospital are pretty poor.
The hospital area was probably the most powerful part, because when you're in the rooms it makes you think of how many people have been injured or dead or died in that particular room you're in, and it feels quite, you get goosebumps just thinking about it because you're in the same spot as them, and it was only like 100 years ago, so it's not actually that long ago if you think about it.
If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. At Essex Farm, I read Flanders Fields. I don't know how to describe it, but it was really nice.
When McRae wrote this poem, he was angry. His best pal had just been killed. He had been working for days trying to save the boys. He was furious with those who caused the war, and that's why he wrote the poem.